Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to section MED.1.2 on Daesian notation. So in the previous section, we looked at neumes, which are great if you already know how a tune goes and you want to just kind of give yourself some reminders. But if you are a medieval scholar and you want to talk about specific pitches, neumes aren't going to do you much good. In the tradition of the ancient Greeks, you do have treatises on medieval music and medieval music theory, and if you want to talk about a specific note, you got to have some way to do that. So in some scholarly manuscripts, they developed a system that is now known as Daesian notation. Um, and like the ancient Greeks, they assigned a specific symbol to each different note. Every note got its own symbol, which if you think about a modern like piano keyboard with 88 keys, man, that's a lot of symbols. They only had about 18, I think, uh, different notes that they were concerned about, so that's more reasonable. Um, so the symbols are all based off of this sign, which was known to their scholarly readers of the time as how you pronounce an H sound before a vowel, like hide. And this symbol was known as the Daesia. So this group of symbols became known as Daesian notation. The good news is there's a set of 4 basic symbols that then gets repeated. And these 4 basic symbols represent a group of 4 notes where we start on a note, da, and then we go a whole step and a half step and a whole step. So da, 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 da is your standard group of 4 notes. And then you rotate them in some sort, or change them in some sort of way, and you get another group of 4 notes, higher or lower, with the same whole, half, whole pattern. We normally show this initial group of 4 notes starting on the note D, although this is just convention. Standard pitch didn't exist at the time, so even if everyone decided, this is this note, depending on where you were in the world, it could be higher or lower. So it's just a standard convention. So as I said, all of these were kind of based off of the Daesia symbol, and then they turned them into these different forms. So if you're familiar with your Greek prefixes, they have names that make sense. So you have this one where they added a kind of hook to the top, and they called it protus, or beginning. Protus, arcus, interchangeable. I think I'm going to use protus in here. You have the deuterus, where they just added another line, looks kind of like an F, which kind of means next or second. You have the tritus, where they removed that entirely, which means third. Then you have this kind of upswing for the tetrardus, or fourth. So if you think about like a tetrahedron that has 4 sides, that's the same prefix. Think about a tricycle, 3 wheels, third, that kind of thing. So you have the protus, deuterus, tritus, tetrardus. These 4 symbols are reflected and rotated to generate a scale of 18 notes. I was right on the previous page. Excellent. That had all the notes that you would find in melodies at the time. Because this is a pretty big range, down from a low G2 up to a C#5. In terms of human singing range, obviously you can go lower, you can go higher, but this is pretty reasonable for your average sorts of people. So as a reminder, this isn't actually necessarily corresponding to our modern pitches. It's just pitch relations. This is just how we choose to notate it. Seems like a pretty reasonable range. So these basic forms are found here. And this tetrachord is known as finales because these notes tended to be the final notes of pieces. And we'll see in the next section how medieval modes are defined by their finals. We'll talk more about that. Underneath it, you have graves. If you think about graves, where are graves? They're underneath the ground. The graves are underneath the finales. So in this case, we've just flipped them horizontally. This goes to here, this goes to here. If you flip this horizontally, you get the same symbol, so they turned it into an N. Great. And this goes to here. If you're going to base something on a system of flipping and rotating, and one of yours is so symmetric, why would you? I don't know. I don't know why you would do that, but sure, they're fine. Whatever. Above it, you have superiores. something is superior, it's higher. That makes sense. And in this case, we've flipped them upside down and horizontally. So upside down and over, upside down and over. In this case, we just flip this one upside down because, again, and we flip this one upside down and over. And then excelentes, really, really choice Daesian symbols up here. In this case, we just flipped the original ones upside down without going horizontal. In this case, we added a crossbar to the I because why not? Okay. And then finally, we have residui, these kind of extra residual notes. It's not a full tetrachord. We just got to stick a couple up top just in case we need them. And in this case, we kind of knock them over horizontally, these first two symbols. So when we talk about these, we would put the tetrachord and the note name together. So it would be like protus finales, or deuterus finales, or protus graves, or tritus superiores, and that names a specific note. By focusing on this protus, deuterus, tritus, tetratus distinction, we're really emphasizing where the half step is in each tetrachord, each group of 4 notes. Because you know tritus is always going to be a half step above deuterus, you know deuterus is always going to be a half step below tritus. When we're connecting these, it's worth noting that there's always a whole step in between these tetrachords, and as a result, you don't necessarily have perfect octaves everywhere. So like you have a B flat here, but a B natural there. You have an F natural here, then an F sharp, C natural, then a C sharp. So it's not a scale in the way that we understand it, because it doesn't repeat at octaves, but that is what is going on here. So go ahead and take a look at the worksheet and the Artusi exercise, and I'll see you next time.